$17 milk? I don't, how do you compute that? Wow. Yeah, they expect to drop. 20, yeah. We ready?
Yes.
Okay, we'll call the meeting in order. We have quorum. Minutes for review and approval of November 20.
I move you.
Motion made, seconded by John. Additions, corrections, comments. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Bills, communications.
So this month, all the bills were in your packet. I didn't print them. I have a single copy here if you want to look at any of them. We have our annual, like kind of year-end legal invoices, as well as the 2026 chamber dues invoice, which is due in January, but good to get it out of the way. Those are the only two that are kind of out of the ordinary. The rest are all monthly bills.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Motion to approve the bills. Move. Motion made, seconded. Questions to the treasurer? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Report of the treasurer.
So you had the reports again in your packet. They are printed for you. And, you know, again, just kind of the standard income and expenses. We had a decent amount of interest, about a little, almost $13,000 in November, but that was the only income for the month. And then all of the expenses are pretty typical on a month-to-month basis. So nothing much more to report here. I did get in touch with someone from Bonadio who was helping to clean up a couple of the AR or accounts receivable, accounts payable items that are tied to old audit journal entries. So they're going to help us just clean those up because I don't want to mess it up. And so I talked to them this week and they were going to take a look and just do their magic. So that will make sure that all of our accounts receivables and payables are fully in line ahead of the official audit. They like it when you tell them your problems. So I did that. All the problems.
Motion to approve treasurer. So move. Motion made, seconded. Questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Mike, updates, please.
Okay, so you have my written report, as always, I have my walk-on updates for you here. I'll start with project updates. We do have Kevin Mulkey here for later and new business to speak to labor monitoring going on with the Sunny's projects in the southern end of the county. We have formally engaged with MRV Group, began services for the sale of land to Doug Wayne. We are also working on memorializing all of that via our legal team with Rick and Justin on that end. On the project that was approved, small scale solar project up in Sterling, we're working towards close, which is scheduled for tomorrow. Everything seems to be moving along on that end. We have received a letter of intent for purchase of land in the IDA Park. This is the corner lot across the street from the milk plant. I expect to bring that to the board's attention at the January meeting. We've also begun engagement with Barton and Judas for site analysis services for the property up in Ludus. Sewer update, very pleased to share that we have received all monies from Empire State Development as well as the EDA. Those things have moved along. We have one bill to pay the Public Works Enforcement Fund. That was 0.1% of the total contract bid we did with Highlander. With that done, we'll work with Water and Sewer for any necessary reporting requirements, but we're officially done with that. All the money's in the bank and we're all closed out on that. On the stakeholders side, some key items to bring up here is continuing work of county planning on the countywide strategic plan as well as the countywide brownfield opportunity assessment. I did send around the latest survey for the strategic plan. Please complete and share with everyone within your own circle as it is in Cayuga County. We did have the Energy Summit on 12/1 over in Geneva. That was organized by Senator Mazzolio, Locate FLX. For those of you who went, I'm not sure what your opinion was. I thought it was a great event. Very, very impressive panelists and topics that were discussed. And very brief conversation with Senator Mazzolio after that is we'll be touching base after the holidays, the next steps from that there. Couple of other items, the Chamber of Commerce is conducting its own strategic plan and has been requesting of its lead partners any necessary studies, surveys, examples that we've done. So I did want to ask the board. We worked with MRB to do our site analysis and market study for the mall property. There was a little bit of back and forth with the board at the time. We said, we want to share things, but we want to share it with the right folks. So I wanted to bring that to the board and see if that was okay to share with the chamber.
I would support that.
Okay. Just need a quick thumbs up or thumbs down on it. Okay. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, thank you. Lastly, on stakeholder engagement, chair, living chair. Ray, as well as Bob and I, we met with the town supervisors over at Venison Scipio and discussed the IDA's potential role ahead of an actual IDA application for the proposed Liberty Renewable Project. I would say that was a good phone call. We had very productive. It was just really based in fact of what our role is and what we can do. But to be very clear, we haven't received an application, so there's really nothing to consider at this time on that item there. On the operational front, as Tracy made mention of, our auditors are going to be conducting the financial audit. I want to say the second full week of January, and what Tracy has been doing is addressing outstanding items ahead of them there. Our annual meeting is set for the 15th. It's going to be held at the Inns of Aurora at Taylor House. Excuse me.
Where's that?
I will provide directions to everybody there. It's the former president's house in town, if anybody's aware of that. If not, I'll provide directions to that specifically. We'll note that I have requested that Sue Attinger, the general manager at the Inns, be present for that, as well as village mayor Jim Gorman, for a couple of different reasons. One, we've done a great deal of work with the Inns of Aurora over the years. I thought it would be a good opportunity to just get a general update on developments from their end. From the mayor's end, learn of any village updates as to what they have going on, and then collectively how things are going relative to Wells College. That remains a pretty large item for us to share.
Last time you had me go to Aurora, I got lost, so.
Be sure to put out
I
directions.
couldn't find the firehouse. And glad you're there.
Okay, but that's everything I have on my end, but I'm happy to address any questions.
I have two. The website updates, are you doing that yourself?
Mhm.
I'm impressed.
Thankfully, it's not too technical.
Not too hard. Okay, and then the micron steering and site committee attendance, how often do you attend that committee?
So we have the site selection committee. I actually missed out on this in my verbal report here. The site selection committee meets monthly. The Micron committee is meant, steering committee is meant to be meeting monthly, but the cadence hasn't been locked down quite yet. Believe we last met in last month, was it November? We're scheduled to meet again in January. The site selection committee, we met on Monday and actually had a number of representatives from NICEAG on the call. Two of the items that I want to touch on from that call, Tracy took some excellent notes of where they are in their rate case study that they're putting before the Public Service Commission that oversees all the utilities throughout New York State. There's a number of initiatives they have that are supportive of developments within Cayuga County, specifically a study in the southern end, upgrades with throughout Auburn itself, multitude of substations there, as well as some more work going on in the northern end. There's a planned new substation called the Centerport substation that's going to be between Port Byron and Weedsport. One of the other big discussion items we had with them is we often receive site inquiries from Empire State Development, and these are coming in from all over the world. Site selectors saying we want to set up shop. Do you have property available? One of the things we always need to answer there is what is the electrical capacity at the site? So we had a very good set of questions, and I'll give a lot of credit to Tracy. When we met last month at CCC, Bob was there for that. We need quick turnaround when we're making these inquiries because we have a hard deadline we get from Empire State. So we clarified that from them of how quickly can you turn around information as needed to respond to these inquiries, and more importantly, if it's above a certain level of megawatts, that's out of their hands, which none of us knew before. And a lot of the inquiries we've been seeing over the last year, these aren't small scale. Smallest I've been seeing are typically 2 to 5 megawatts minimum, and then for a second phase expansion going well beyond that. So what we've done as part of the site selection committee is to say we want quarterly check-ins with the NICEAG team so we can better understand where they are and what we need from them in doing that going forward. So that's some of the introspection to those committees there.
Interesting.
Any other
Thank you.
questions?
I will just make a quick comment about the Zoom call we had that Mike referred to. I'm usually on this side of the desk. It was a rude awakening to see how much the executive director and the town assessors they have to put into this. It was kind of a rude awakening to see the conversation that we had about putting these pilots together, how complex it can get. So I appreciate Mike for putting that kind of stuff together.
Can we also introduce who's here? Because I don't know him.
Sure. So any irregular guests, if you don't mind introducing yourself, I believe everybody knows, but
John Montone.
Carrie Twilliger, Cayuga County Planning Director. Oh. Anita Dungy, who's also with the Alliance for.
You're welcome to sit up here if you want.
Yeah.
We don't fight. I'm good. I want to go
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, the Alliance for what?
Oh, the Alliance to Preserve the Finger Lakes.
Thank you.
Unfinished business, office space.
okay, so we just had a delivery yesterday from college. We now have a couple of conference room tables, number of chairs. We have the director's suite set up. So big thanks to Doug Kinney and Dr. Brian Durant for helping facilitate all of that. I'm waiting on an updated proposal from the county's IT department for our tech setup. Once that's done, we should be good to go and begin holding our meetings at that office starting in February.
February, wow.
So we're all set on that.
Questions, new business. Labor monitoring report.
Yes, so we do have Kevin Lokey from Lokey Grill, who has been performing the labor monitoring services. An overview from our 2 projects located in the towns of Ledger and Scipio. So we'll pause here and let you, Kevin, take it away.
Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for having me on. So I'm going to basically provide you our report from our inspections that we performed on the Sun East Dog Corner Solar Project and the Sun East Scipio Solar Project. Our initial site inspections on both of those sites was November 4th of 2025. For the Dog Corners project, 6% of the workforce was from Cayuga County, 79% was from the local area, 12% were New York State residents outside of the defined local area, and 3% were out of state. On the Sunny Scipio Solar Project, it was 8% Cayuga workers, 68% from the local area, 11% New York State residents outside of the local labor area, and 14% out of state. So that was our findings from our direct on-site visits. We visit the projects once a month on a monthly basis to verify the labor that they're reporting to us. The projects provide us weekly labor reports, which give a breakdown of all the labor on site. And then essentially our inspections when we go to these projects is validating the information that they provide to ensure these projects are meeting their local labor goals. I also have for you our summation of the November numbers for the project. So this obviously being the December meeting, I present all the data for the month of November. So the total amount of workers, work days reported on the Sun East project was 717 working days. 51 of those were Cayuga County residents, 525 were residents of the local area, 122 residents of New York State outside of the local area, and 19 were non-New York State residents. So the total Cayuga compliance for the month of November was 7%. Local area compliance was 73%. Other New York State residents was 17%, and out-of-state residents was 2%. Again, that was the Dog Corners project. For Scipio Solar, the November count was 747 workdays, 47 of which Cayuga County, 397 were residents of the local area, 223 residents of New York State outside of the local area, 80 were non-New York State residents. So the total Cayuga compliance was 6%, local area 53%. New York State residents outside was 30%, and out of state was 11%. So those are our findings for the month of November on both of those projects that we are currently auditing.
Can we get a copy of that? Is it possible to get?
It's in the meeting packet. It's online. Yeah.
I'll follow up with you, Anita.
Okay, thank you.
So Kevin, any idea why the difference between the two projects, one had a lot more out of state and a lot less, less in the local area, our defined local area. Any idea why there's a difference between the two projects?
The Scipio Solar Project, there's more activity going on in general on that job compared to Dog Corners. At the time of our inspection, there was certainly more workers on the Scipio project. So that may have something to do with it. They're kind of alternating their crews. They're using the same subcontractors on both projects, and they're fluctuating as far as which projects they're visiting, which ones they are not. So it certainly is a rotating labor force. I mean, again, a lot of the same contractors. We are having some issues with collecting certain documentation from these jobs, which we are pushing, on a weekly basis. And of course, we've involved Mike in that discussion to try to get these missing documents, to kind of get the project fully caught up so we can really understand all of the numbers from before we were involved with the monitoring project, the local labor utilization forms, for example, that those projects are required to submit every 90 days. We're still trying to track down, as well as some required insurance documentation. The other thing that we're doing is ensuring that the general contractor and all subs on these projects provide the necessary insurance, New York State workers' comp, disability, general liability. So that's something that we're also tracking, for one, to ensure that there's no accidents or injuries, and if there are, everyone's covered, but also to avoid potential 1099 violators on these jobs.
And can you define, so a work day, when you say 7/17, is
Mhm.
that one person working one day during the month? Say, is a count, a head count?
So it'd be a collection of all the total work days reflected, so our monthly reports, our weekly reports, excuse me, they run Monday through Sunday. And it's basically a summation of all the workers on site for each day of the week. So that is the total amount of worker days reported for the entirety of the month.
Okay,
So that could reflect one worker over multiple days, but it's basically reflected on work days.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Questions? Thank you.
You're welcome.
You good, Mike?
Mm-hmm.
Housing,
Chairman,
market housing strategy.
I had a question. When we set up this pilot, did we have established a minimum,
Did we what?
of county workforce?
We did. So it was 25%.
So they're way up.
Yes, no, because when we had set up the 20, they had promised or not promised. Committed to 25% local area labor here, and that's part of what this says on this. So what we're doing with Low-Key Brill is ensuring they're committing to that 25%, and throughout a 90-day cadence, we'll be billing them either above or below that for the mitigation fee that we had set up as part of it.
There was a penalty.
Yes.
Questions?
Yeah, just a quick question maybe for Tracy. So if we do assess the penalty, where does it show up in our finances?
That's going to be coming into our, it's gonna be top line revenue.
That one?
Yes. We should probably set up a specific line item for that.
You want me to set up a separate line on the balance sheet?
Not yet. We will need to, because those funds they have a specific function.
Would they be project specific as well?
So the intent to remind
Or-
people,
Receiving revenue?
yes,
Penalties?
yes. So to remind the board, the intent behind setting up the mitigation fee is we had identified a labor gap and said, these projects coming for us are saying they can't find the labor. We're saying, okay, we're not going to grant you a full waiver. We're going to set up a mitigation, pay your way out, and then rededicate those monies collected to be put back into our area workforce. And work with our educational partners, CCC, BOCES, Cayuga Works, to say, here are the identified gaps we're seeing here from developers. Let's redeploy those monies in this area to build up that workforce.
Questions? Harry,
Okay, thank you all for having me again. Thanks you guys. I think in your packet, you have a letter from me, this time formally requesting the gap funding that we need for our housing study. So we're super fortunate. We did get the $100,000 from the NBRC. We just got that award letter a few weeks ago. And Auburn Housing Authority is still committing 20,000. And I had a great meeting with Jenny Haynes and Steve Selvik from the city. They were able to award the contract for their comprehensive plan and study that they got some Department of State money to do. And Department of State encouraged them to try to find a consultant or a sub-consultant to cover the housing study for the city of Auburn, and they were successful in doing that. So they're committing between $10,000 to $14,000 of their grant funds to cover the Auburn market for the housing study. And they've also put in a formal resolution that city council just passed last week, I believe. That gives the county free access to all data, information, reports, et cetera, related to the housing study for Auburn. So that we can incorporate that in the countywide housing study. So that takes our total funding need down to $140,000, which is great. So we have 120, so our gap is $20,000. And we're still looking to partner with the IDA.
We passed the resolution at the last month to award you 20,000.
I wasn't here last month.
I think it was 10.
I believe.
No, it was 20.
It was
It
20.
was 20.
It was up to 20.
Up to 20 pending the award
Right.
and the comeback request from there.
Subject to you getting the grant, and shortly after we had the meeting, somebody announced that the grant had come in.
Right, so Mike just asked me, I think for the benefit of the board and your minutes and procedures to come back and formally request, now that we have received that grant funding, formally request the $20,000 from the
So
IG.
you have 120 without our money?
Correct,
All right, so now with our 20, you're.
I have everything I need, yeah.
How much is Cayuga County putting in? I have a real problem with subsidizing the county. Nothing new. on
No, I
nothing.
know, and this is the struggle that I think Jenny and I, have had for the 2 years we've been trying to get the money to do this, is the county ledge and the city council both said, great project, but budgets are tight, we don't have the money. Carrie and Jenny, if you can be creative on how to come up with the money, we fully support you to do this, but we can't use county funds, city funds to do it. So Jenny was able to get her grant funding from DOS, to cover it, which is great. We got most of it from NBRC grant money. Again, the Auburn Housing Authority is chipping in 20,000, and then we have our gap. There'll be some in-kind staff for me, to administer everything and oversee the project, but, that's where we're at. I don't know, I think that's accurate, right? Yeah.
Were there any other agencies like CCDC or?
We had conversations and CCDC did not have the funds to be able to do that, I don't think. We had a conversation like last year or earlier this year about that. And I think the conversation was their money's,
It wasn't a good fit for their money,
Right.
actually, they intended for loan funds.
right, their money's more heavily restricted, I think, right?
Ada does not have.
Right, right, we beat every bush that we could.
Well, good luck.
So we already voted then, right, Mike?
He did, but in conversing with Justin on this, I think like as well as for us to formally engage with Carrie, there's a handful of steps we have to go through to be a named partner as part of this process here, and Carrie has already indicated to me that, she's willing to do whatever is necessary from our end to make sure it's, legally buttoned up. So Justin, I'm not sure if you wanted to opine in this area or if you did, Rick.
Yeah, sure. Just in the general rule is the IDA can't make a gift or a loan to another party for funding purposes, but we can join the county and others in a joint solicitation, a procurement, and pay for the contract with you. So in order to close the loop there, it's just when you go out to bid or procure or engage on the contract, the IDA is, a second party to it and can pay its proportional share that's been approved by the board. And the ultimate report that comes back can be addressed to the IDA as well, and that helps support that this was an IDA supported endeavor.
I think Justin, you wanted an actual formal request from the county, which is that letter, the last page of our packet, it is December 9th. Are we gonna have a seat at the table?
Oh, yeah. No, and we committed all along, and this is something that we do regardless of where funding is coming from for projects, when we develop reports or plans, is wherever the funding's coming from. There's always an acknowledgement and thank you page of, you know, where the money is coming from, as well as whoever's participated in the effort. All of our grant funds require an attribution line anyway to say this was partially funded with funds from, right, whoever. So we'll be putting the IDA and the Auburn Housing Authority and NBRC prominently on that same page together. You know, I have absolutely no issue in whatever legal agreement, however, your attorneys would like it to read, you know, send it to me. I don't think that our attorneys will have too much of an issue. I mean, they'll look at it and we'll go from there, but, I think it makes sense on both sides for the IDA and the county to have a legal agreement of accepting.
So who's the consultant reporting to that you're gonna hire for around $150?
The plan was for me to admin at least the grant and the project, but we can, however you guys want, you know, obviously we were thinking that, you know, Mike or someone else from the IDA would be on a steering committee with us, as well as someone from Housing Authority and the city. We originally thought that a subset of the Micron Housing Steering Committee would be, you know, at least the base for the steering committee for the project, but we're happy to add whoever else you'd like to have to represent the IDA onto that steering committee.
Do you understand what Justin
Oh,
says
yeah.
you need to do to get the money?
Mhm.
And you have no problems with
Yeah.
that? I'm very interested in the study. I think you know there are several towns in the county that really do not want to have development in those towns. And we discussed at the water and sewer lease yesterday that to have any large development, you probably need water, and sewer would be an advantage to them. And we're more than willing to work with you, show you where we can get water, somewhere near how expensive it is. And sewer is much more difficult to get than water, but that would be determined by the type of ground that's there.
Mhm.
And what places are close to that. We're more than willing to work with you.
Perfect. Yeah, that'll be very helpful. Yeah, we've said all along, you know, we acknowledge that there's definitely communities in the county that are not looking to grow or expand in a lot. But this is good to confirm that on a countywide level and for the study to identify areas of growth where not only is it possible because there's existing infrastructure or the ability to expand infrastructure, but that also that those communities are looking for growth and what type of growth. In addition to what is the market looking for? What are people trying to find for types of housing that they can't find? And as Jenny and I have said all along, the most important piece of this study is the implementation piece that will come along with it. So that we know when we're talking with NICEAG and developers and other partners, what do we need? What do we have to do to get the types of developments in the locations around the county that our municipalities are looking for?
Well, I think we've already approved it, the last meeting in principle. So now it's just an issue, the lawyers getting together, creating the document and for Ray to sign it.
I believe so, and Rick and Justin already do plenty of work with Fred and Rich over at the county office, so.
Right.
What I can do following today's meeting is get that kicked off via email with you, Carrie, and our council, bring in town's council.
I think you did say that money is the last money that you need to
Yeah.
complete the study. At the time we did that, you were $10,000 short.
We were, and that is gonna be made up by what the city is doing with their comp plan and giving us that value in data and information. So the consultants we hire won't have to do that work. They'll be given that work. We will have to put this out for a formal RFP. We obviously will encourage the sub-consultant that the city has hired to respond to that RFP and see if they're the best proposal or not. Obviously, if for some reason they are the best proposal, it's a little bit easier if they're doing both projects, but per the county's procurement, we'll have to do a full RFP anyway. So we'll see who responds and who has the best response given.
How
The 100
long will it take?
It's a 12-month project. We're hoping to be able to get approval. I don't know, January is a little tight deadline for a resolution for January to accept all the monies. So I'm thinking maybe February. I don't know if because next week it's resolutions are due for planning committee.
Okay.
I mean, I can put one together kind of
We
quickly.
can always put one in.
Yeah, and, you know, just so that we can, by the end of January, officially accept all the funds and we can work through contracts. In hopes to be able to release that RFP in mid-February, maybe working with Amanda O'Grady, our purchasing director. Given that timeline, we're probably looking at late winter, early spring start with the RFP process, so that we would have then 12 months to get it done, which aligns with, getting the strategic plan done around the same time too, so that works out really good. So, yeah, I'll draft something for Wednesday and,
Yeah, send it to me and we'll get it in.
Yeah.
But I think we're all supportive. And just a matter of the legal guys working out the details.
Thank you.
well, thank you very much appreciated. And again, you know, please reach out to me or through Mike, it doesn't matter. Anyone that wants to sit on that steering committee to represent the IDA, just let me know. We're happy to have any of you that participate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, that's all. Thank you
Yes,
for coming.
I don't know if any of you are familiar with CCIDA, the County Public Power Agency, but I'll give you some facts here that I actually put on my phone. The residents of Cayuga County in 2005 overwhelmingly established CCIDA, through a referendum vote. Actually, it was put in place in 1984, and we revised the law using an attorney out of Washington, used through the Municipal Utility Association. And the mission of CCIDA basically is to try to provide low-cost power, renewable energy, and sustainable energy. We did a sustainable plan of energy in 2009, along with the city, that needs to be updated, and I do see that the city's doing some things. I don't know if it pertains only to energy, but it's other things too. So again, CCIDA has been working in different types of projects. For example, the digester out here, we were involved in the beginning of that with Jim Hoteling. And I helped design the distribution system out here through CCIDA. And basically that was providing power to this building, to the county jail. And I think we're going to go back to doing that again eventually, which would be behind the meter, along with this possible solar project that's over here.
We've gone back to the power company.
Yeah, I know you have. I mean,
I'm sorry, I forgot my other hearing aid, so I apologize.
It's understandable.
well,
It's
same as your. Yeah,
I just forgot it.
We're just glad you're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was aware of that. Well, my point is that you would bring the power
Yeah.
behind the meter and it would just lower their costs. So that's just some opportunities that CCIDA has and can do for other businesses and residents. We want to work with the other solar projects that are starting to develop in Cayuga County. And for some reason, and I think I know one reason, a lot of them are coming to Cayuga County to basically build solar projects along with the big windmill project that I think will probably go to become interveners in these projects, where we provide so much, they would provide so much per megawatt hour, $1,000 a megawatt hour, we'll say, for a 90 megawatt project. The intervener would receive that, which could be CCIDA, and basically utilize that funding to hire a inspector, similar to what you were doing there with your labor situation that I just saw. And oversee that project to make sure it's done correctly, and so forth. So basically, CCIDA, again, it meets every month. Sometime even more than that, depending on what we're looking at. We're looking at a project that is in Cayuga County with a P3 model, a private developer, which will basically bring in possibly hydrogen project into the community. And we're working with the railroad, Finger Lakes Railroad, to be also involved in this project where the hydrogen engine would be provided to that. So these are kind of things that we're developing, mostly with the private developers working with the county, or working with Capusa, I should say. And there's a lot of them coming along. And the developers really want to develop here in Cayuga County because of the situation where a 300 megawatt project is something, I don't know if you've been involved in the pilot program with them to the 457. I don't know, Mike, maybe you can answer that. 457 is automatically applies to each muni, and you can opt in or opt out of that. What it does is provide in the solar payment in lieu of taxes. And it's an exemptions, and it's generally advantageous incentive tools for the local government because they offer no direct subsidies to the developers, and the exemptions only to go into effect after the job is done. So this is an important part of this. As after it's constructed, you can generate revenue from this. Either IDA or Capusa can generate revenue through payments and in lieu of taxes because we are a public municipality. This is an alternative revenue source that allows munis to receive annual payments on a fixed cash flow. So in other words, it's something to do with the property tax. I can get with Mike and explain that. Mike, and actually it's on a NYSERDA website. And I was kind of surprised at that summit that we didn't get brought up about that situation with, especially with all the revenue
Well, that's
opportunities.
one of the things, and like John's hammered on this issue a lot.
Mhm.
You know, with these solar pilots.
Yep.
We don't really have that much local content, especially out of Cayuga County. And there's no jobs afterwards.
Mhm.
So the communities aren't getting a lot of benefit.
That's right. That's exactly what I'm saying. So
And
there's
I've
another way.
talked to Justin and Mike before, it would be nice that this pilot. You know, like you're saying with Capusa, that we get at least some share of that electricity.
Yeah.
Comes back in.
Well, I think through purchase power agreements, basically to be put in place when you're negotiating with these solar
No, that's what I've said to Mike.
and
When you're negotiating the pilot, you have all the leverage.
Right.
After that, you've got nothing.
that's right.
Cause we put in some solar panels in, Village of Union Springs.
Mhm.
We were supposed to get this local content. And after they went up, it all disappeared.
Yeah. Well, the other thing with Capusa, if it, for example, Union Springs, you could have brought that power across the street or to the water treatment plant. Capusa can build a line across the road where the county can't do it on its own.
Right.
We act as just like any utility, or can act in a utility, not only for electric, but also gas. And basically, that's where we would come into play for something like that behind the meter, as I said, right here in this building. There's a lot of opportunities there for Capusa to do those types of things.
So I think we need you guys to help us out with the pilots.
Yes.
That's the critical point.
Well, I'm more than willing to work with Mike or Justin, I know Justin too, on that 457 situation where it is specifically for solar situations or renewable projects, and
Right.
it's in lieu of the tax, in other words, the property tax, either for the owner or the lease, you know, if he's gonna lease the property. These companies are coming here because nothing's in place to do that, and that's one of the reasons I think that's why you're seeing, you got a 300 megawatt, a 90 megawatt, possibly 200 megawatt. Those are the biggest in New York State,
Yeah,
you know, so there's gotta be a reason, and
yeah.
that's part of it.
No, it's all about money.
So our opportunity is to get to negotiate with somebody like Cordella. And usually what happened with Cordella, they'll probably go with somebody else after they got it built. And, you know, and those types of things, but it's important to get some kind of agreement in place as soon as they approach IDA. I don't know if they all do approach, maybe some of them don't even care about a pilot program, so to speak.
No, I think they all pretty much come.
We haven't had any that didn't want a pilot.
Yeah.
They seem to think that's absolutely necessary to the financial.
Well, those are, what you're putting in place is, it's based on how many jobs they produce is what I was trying to understand there. And like you said, after the thing is built, you got 3 people working there, maybe
Well,
part-time.
not even, yeah.
Yeah, so what I'm talking about is in lieu of the taxes. They wouldn't pay a property tax in lieu of it, they pay an amount of money per
Yes.
megawatt. There's a formula. So.
So can I ask 2 questions?
Sure.
Oh,
Well, go ahead.
John, can you share with us municipalities that are doing that 457 plan?
Well, give you an example, there's 54 public power entities in New York State. There's over 2,000 public municipalities in the country. But the ones that are using that, I can't give you an example, like, for example, Skinny Atlas could very well be doing it. They are a public power municipality too, and they have some solar there, so more than likely they might be doing it. In the village of Solvay, where I worked, we attempted to do that, but the New York Power Authority came in and took that particular part over. And that was gonna go along into the state fair, so that was exempt anyway. But there are other munis and we can get that
Well,
information.
Justin might be aware too.
How, so if I were to myself go look for, it, what would I look for to find?
Go on to the NYSERDA website.
And they would show who is doing this very plan?
Yep. And it's New York Real Property Tax Law 487. And it automatically applies unless this muni or this government or county opt out of it. Maybe somebody did, we don't know about it. I don't know if you would know.
I would have to check with Jenny Delicato, our real property
Yeah.
director, but I think a few years ago, she did suggest opting out of the 457
Well, you
from the
can,
county government, just because of the admin and stuff.
but you can opt back in, and if it's in its advantage to do that, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, again, I can get, John, I can get you some of that information off the NYSERDA site.
Okay, so just to clarify, I'm hearing 457, 487. Which one is it?
I'm sorry, 487.
Okay, all right, thank you. And then my second question is, well, not a question, just I guess an observation or statement. So we would get money from this 487 plan, but at the same time, I guess it's not correct to say that we get nothing out of these projects because we do collect a pilot fee, which is, you know, in some cases, it's quite substantial and it's right up front. So I don't know which one's better at this point because I'm not familiar with the workings of the 487.
That wouldn't be with the IDA.
Okay, but we do collect,
It could be, but
we do collect fees from these solar companies
Yeah.
that pretty much, and if all goes well, could go towards purchasing more land to
Yeah.
create businesses that will create the job. So I'm not sure which one's better, but it just,
But I don't know that it's an either or. I think you'd still want the project fees.
Well, you can do both. Yeah,
Do both.
exactly. But the other one is in lieu of property tax.
Mhm.
Or you can go after them for the property tax, but you're better off with this 487 plan, I believe, and that have the legal people look into it and
I'm just wondering if Justin is familiar with this.
it might be.
It should be.
It's coming. There he is.
Hey, folks, not directly, there's a 487 that allows tax exemptions that are controlled by each municipality. At 457 of the public service law or the real property tax law,
No, we
not sure.
clarified it's 487.
It's 487, Justin.
Yeah, Wasco opted out this year.
Did they?
Yeah.
I have a note for Cuba.
Yeah. And any pilot payments that are made aren't kept by the IDA or any public agencies. They go to the taxing jurisdictions. In other words, the IDA doesn't retain any pilot payments made to it. Within 30 days, we have to send them out to the village, town, school, county, whoever's involved.
You had some concern about us working with them, and I thought this would be a time for you to express what your concerns are.
I don't have a
resolve that.
concern about working with them. My concern is I don't know enough to say that we should be working with them. So there's no, I don't, this is a little bit more information, but there's no, and for instance, I don't know why we need to get involved and for you to become an intervener.
We actually, during the project of the windmill project, where the two towns were becoming interveners and the county was going to do it too. But Capusa was going to apply to become an intervener, where that would have supplied funding to us to hire an engineer, like I said earlier, to oversee that project. So we opted out of that and let the two towns do it to utilize that money on that. For other areas where there's a big project, it's going to pay you $1,000 a megawatt. If you got a 300 megawatt project, that's $300,000. So.
All right, so I guess I just go back to that question. So why wouldn't, or have you done other deals where you are, you're doing purchase power agreements?
We plan on doing a purchase power agreement with one developer, yes.
Okay,
And that power will basically come into the community and allow us to aggregate together with residential and industrial customers and commercial customers to provide a discount into power. Or possibly have the county reduce their taxes instead of the actual bill itself. There's a couple ways to structure that.
so if the county reduces their taxes, wouldn't that be same as a pilot?
Similar, but again, if you can reduce your electric bill, say by 20%, would it be better to do a formula and reduce their taxes to a certain percent? So there's a couple ways to look at it.
Okay. And so I guess my question is, so then what would you need from IDA? I mean, what can we provide you that would allow you to become a purchase power or enter into these agreements and become an intervener and whatever else you might need? What are you looking for from us?
Well, basically, I thought it was the other way around, and you're getting approached by different solar companies and more are coming. So Capusa can be the person or the entity to help. We are an entity of the county and a bona fide public municipality. So if a solar company says, well, wait a minute, we want to build right next to this business here, but they can't build a distribution line over to them, Capusa can do that kind of stuff. Or substations, or natural gas for that matter.
So how many people does Capusa employ to do this?
We don't employ anybody at the time. We have a board of a board of volunteers that's been put in place. The county has not really, well, they actually clawed back our budget that we had of over 300,000 a year and a half ago. And so that kind of put us on the back burner a little bit. We're trying to get reestablished with that sense there where we have a substantial budget and creating a revenue coming in from these different purchase power agreements.
But I think these pilots are potentially a great way to start the ball rolling.
Yeah, I think if you look into what I was talking about, you'll see that it can help a lot.
I think to John's point, I think we need a lot more details.
Exactly, yeah, because I mean, it sounds like it's another entity of a business of some sort, and so, yeah. And I'm also concerned that Justin hasn't dealt with it at all, because he deals with a lot of IDAs, so he would, pretty much be aware of this.
Yeah, Justin, do you know of anybody using the 487 municipality?
Oh, can't hear you yet.
No, he's talking.
Sorry about that.
There we go.
The 487 exemption, you see it all over the place. The controversy with our old friend, the Norbit Solar Farm next to your industrial park. But those are a series of 487 pilots that the county is still
turn
in
that
a
up,
position that it didn't approve. You know, they're active everywhere. Historically, the tension that we've seen, and you know, with Mike's help being a good executive director, he's blunted it off quite a bit, is to avoid municipalities, you know, kind of on a patchwork, doing pilots for each project, and instead, you know, encouraging the developer to utilize the IDA as the pilot vehicle, as a one-stop shop. And as Ray indicated earlier, it's a bit of an eye opener when you're dealing with all the municipalities for a particular project. And you have a developer maybe that's talking to each one of them in an isolated fashion, different deals being cut in different rooms. And really what we're trying to do and what the IDA can do is be a one-stop shop to help all of the municipalities. So that's really where a success is being made. To the extent that a particular developer has infrastructure problems and needs, you know, with either NYSEG or another utility, forcing them to spend millions to hook up to a transfer station or any other infrastructure, Capusa can play a role there. It becomes a function of how it pays for that. Or if a power purchase agreement is entered into by Capusa, how does it buy the power in the first instance without an established backline of customers? And that's where you deal with community solar. The IDA has, you know, a handful of projects that are 2, 3, 5 megawatt, and those are called community solar scale. But when they go out and on the back of that, they go out and generate subscriptions and accounts, and people are buying the power from that project. I think what needs to be investigated is if Capusa is going to finance infrastructure, build it, how does that, what's the revenue stream to pay for it? And if it's buying power and selling it, what's the end user, and how's that revenue going to support the acquisition? So I'm curious and eager to learn myself.
Well, I think if we were to negotiate with different developers on an agreement of some sort, they utilize the Capusta name instead of their whatever to create their where they're selling their power, we would develop end users for that project and take so many mil adders from the project. They make revenue, Capusta makes a revenue, or the county makes a revenue. And you couldn't do it unless you had, as you said, an end user. So obviously you'd have to have an agreement in place. We'll say, we use Cordella, for example. They came to us and says, hey, we want to put the county's name on this. We're showing that the residents of Cayuga County and the power staying here. So basically that's how we would develop that. And we would have surveys sent, just for example, this project right here behind us, a lot of the people in the town of Senate are getting a 10% reduction in their power from that project. Well, if you can imagine using the Cayuga County Public Utility Service Agency on your bill, then the people know that the power is staying here. It's not going to Spain or wherever they decide to send it.
Yeah, we get 10%.
But
From the one that my wife hates across. the
So
road.
that's how we would put that out as a letter going out.
My son gets 10, but the farm, we only get 5 because they say the farm's commercial.
Huh.
And I have a real problem with that, as you might guess.
Yeah.
So what we're seeing, John, is Mike and I, what we're seeing is one hell of a pushback, particularly on this wind project.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we're getting major pushback.
Yeah, I'm aware of it because I get a report every
And
month from.
The solar Farm Bureau has come out with totally against taking good farmland out
Yeah.
of production, which I totally agree, to put in the solar projects.
Yeah.
And I turned down $2,000-3,000 an acre per year.
Yeah.
So they throw a lot of big money at you.
We have several things that have come up recently. The chairman of the legislature sent an email, I think, to all of this committee, plus he and Michael have had discussion on he does not support pilots for solar or wind projects. we would have to, in my opinion, we would have to show that we locally are getting something out of these projects to justify doing a pilot. The one that comes to mind that I know Justin was involved in a lawsuit with it, the one right next to the road we have that goes to the milk plant, that back road, that whole, what was the, what farm was that way?
You know, Wake Farm. you're talking-
Joe Power's son.
Yeah, but we had a customer for that, almost right next door to that we could have done the project that he's making reference to then, but
That can still be done through Capusa. Again, behind the meter, we build a service line over to the milk factory. Even though they're taking their power from NICEC, they could also take power from that plant if we can, from the solar plant, if we negotiate an agreement with them. And that would go in behind their meter, so that would reduce what they're buying on the market. And that would create a revenue.
I think we need to decide.
But wouldn't, excuse me just for a second, Herb, wouldn't you need to have them want to sell the power to you?
Yes, of course, yes.
Right,
Yeah.
so,
I mean, if they're getting, right now, they're probably only getting market-based rate, which isn't a great price right now.
right, and so you would have to come in under that.
Mhm.
So
Well, the cost-
how would you go cheaper to the milk plant if you're paying more than,
Well,
if you have to pay more than what they're currently selling to somebody else?
No.
I don't understand how
Well,
that,
when-
you make it cheaper.
When the solar places sell to the NICEAG, they're probably only getting 3-4 cents a kilowatt.
Yeah.
Right,
So he can buy it at 5 cents a kilowatt. Sell it to the milk plant at 8 cents a kilowatt and still be under the 24-cent kilowatt charge that NICEAG's charging for retail.
Plus you're reducing a delivery charge and a demand charge.
So,
Where they get
And the
killed.
delivery charge is more than the electric charge.
That's right,
So
and you're gonna see it going higher too.
Yeah.
That's what they were talking about with that rate increase.
so my question is, why hasn't this been done?
Because nobody did it.
Well, yeah, but that's not IDA.
Yeah, well,
But
It's not IDA,
Well, but-
we're not a power authority.
It has been.
So
done.
why,
It has been.
it has been, okay.
Solvay did it.
Okay, hold on, no, I'm
Airport
talking
did it.
about here. Solvay did it in 1920,
Airport did it.
in probably 1930,
A bunch of communities have done it.
Yeah, there is.
right? Solvay buys through Niagara because they got in on the ground floor,
No,
correct?
no.
Or,
New York Power Authority, they have an incremental, or excuse me, they have an allotment of the hydropower.
right,
And
but you had
Then
that,
I blended it with an incremental where I bought on the market, including renewable energy, and blended it and created a rate. One for industrial, one for residential, and one for
so,
commercial.
but my question is, all right, so we see something that does work. Why didn't we do this? Why aren't we doing this? And so why do we need IDA? This
Well,
has
you-
nothing to do with
You
IDA.
can't let.
the IGA
Say that, you
pilot,
can't let the
the-
past hold you up from the future.
Yeah, that's fine. So again, what would you need from the IDA to make what you just described happen?
Well, if you're gonna basically be involved in those pilot programs.
No, let's talk about the Norbert plant or the Norbert solar power on Genesee. Moving over to the milk plant. You guys just described how you can make it cheaper. What do you need from us to make that happen?
I don't know if we need anything from IDA at this point, except for Capusta helping the IDA with the other pilot programs. And being involved in the energy programs.
I don't
If
know
somebody
who gave them a
approaches-
pilot. Do you know? do you,
They
John?
didn't get one. That's the
They don't
problem.
have a pilot, they're
No.
paying full taxes?
No, they're going through the 487, I think. Justin?
I don't believe it, not if the county but opted out of it, they can't.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, what was the deal with you, because you alluded to it, what was the deal with Norbert?
Yeah, it's just an example of where a developer doesn't want to utilize an IDA and instead, at the time, because the opt-in, opt-out was different under 487. Back when he sent notices, a developer could send a notice to a municipality, and if the opt-out wasn't properly done, if the municipality didn't respond within 60 days, they get 15 years of free taxes.
That's right.
County said it had opted out, or it had responded to the letter, or the letter was sent to the wrong person. It was sent to some clerk. Norbert said, nope, I'm exempt. And that's what the litigation is about. And he managed to get, I think, a school pilot, but the IDA had no role in that. That's just a contract with the school. And there's no leverage or anything unless the school board wants to create conditions outside of its expectation just to get tax revenue.
But he's not paying any county taxes or whatever. Right, so.
Yeah, until a judge says they have to, yeah, so that's, I guess instead of paying an IDA administrative fee, it makes more sense to pay lawyers for litigation.
So if he's aware of that, then all the other solar developers in this area or that are coming here might be also aware of that, so that.
I think it's gotten tightened up.
But that's why we do what we're doing by having the IDA take the lead on anything that comes in, correct, Michael? That's why we are doing that, so I'd rather have a little bit of pilot money and an administrative fee than nothing. And I think we also forget, not that I'm defending pilots, but every year that
Yeah.
amount they pay us goes up. So after 15 years, whereas your fee is maybe $1,000 per kilowatt, and it stays that way, our pilot goes up. At the end of 10, 15 years, they're 100%.
It's two different, I think it's two different
And
things.
again, this is why I want to have a conversation, is I don't know these
We can
things.
clarify the 487 plan, and I'm sure Justin can help you on that too, but basically, it's an opportunity, in my opinion. And Kapusta, that's one of the reasons why we're in place to bring those types of ideas forward to the county, and that's basically it.
All right, so let's say a new solar plant is coming in, new solar farms coming in. And Kapusa wants to be involved the way you describe it.
Mhm.
How would you, John, how would you see that progressing? What steps would we take? What steps would you take with this brand new project? What are you looking from us?
Well, first of all, we would develop some kind of an agreement with them in place. Not necessarily a purchase power agreement, at least not in the beginning, an agreement that they have to work with Kapusta to develop their project.
Are you developing it, or are you saying IDA developed it?
No, we could develop it
Okay,
or work
okay.
together on both of it.
Okay,
And one of the entities into that situation would be IDA, where you are pushing the pilot program on.
okay,
And again, there's two different types of pilots that I think we're talking about. You're talking about an agreement with them, pay us so much if you want to build here. That's basically it. The other one is put out by New York State, obviously, and NYSERDA. And there's other advantages to that too, through NYSERDA. These companies are being subsidized from NYSERDA to actually build these projects, and we pay for it through our electric bills, through the system benefit charge. So you might as well take advantage if it's gonna be there.
Right, at least get something.
Yeah.
Michael,
Yes, ma'am.
how are you feeling?
I always think there's an opportunity to work with one of our partner agencies, but I think with Kapusa, the lack of staffing and other, operational support you would need, aside from setting up an agreement, is if you're gonna act like a utility, you need the staff of the
Yeah, oh, yeah,
utility,
sure.
so.
You need the support.
So
I
if we were to say, we're gonna bring you to the table with one of these renewable project applicants, we would need to have all the full faith in your ability to deliver on end users. Otherwise, I'm very certain that, same developer is saying, why would we speak or work with you when we can get a better rate in the open market? For
I don't
our,
think they'll get a better rate, but bottom line is,
what do you mean a better rate? Because when you're saying you're going to buy it and then sell it at a lower rate to the community, how does that make sense to
Well,
them?
because,
How?
and that's very misunderstood, right? Like I've got solar panels. So I'm paying 24 cents a kilowatt retail from NYSEG. When I sell them electricity, I get 2.5 cents. And that's where the delta is. So he can pay well above, he can pay double the wholesale. He could pay 5 cents a kilowatt
And then charge,
and still sell it
Couple
way
million
under
dollars on it.
wholesale.
Why haven't you done this yet?
why haven't we done it?
Yes.
Because the county legislators clawed our budget back and we were in the process of hiring a director and a staff and so forth. We need to get that support back from all the legislators so we can move forward. Everybody in this community is complaining about their
But I
electric
think,
bill.
I think that's a moot point. Why look historically about what's happened? How do we move the ball forward?
Well, in the same vein of thinking I have is. Because power is just as important in my mind as water and sewer. It's a
And
utility.
it may be more important.
Yes, so, and,
No, all three of those roads
yeah,
and the internet, all those infrastructure needs are important for industrial development.
absolutely. And the IDA, we have a position there, but that's not our core focus.
Right.
And our focus from just our name wouldn't be on community. Solar, it would be more commercial, industrial powered, capacity generation and distribution, so. I would certainly need a better understanding, more information of how. We would interact as part of that, and I don't disagree, there is some sort of role, but I need a much better understanding of how that works.
Well, that seminar we attended with Mike Nizzolio, they talked about economic development. There was a lot about that. I know you even talked about it. Now, just picture in your mind, if this community, Cayuga County, could offer lower cost power than someplace else. I think you'd run out of real estate to have people come in here and start building projects and industrial situations. That's how Salve is so successful. That's how all the other public power municipalities are successful. I ran out of real estate over there to sell power. They had companies banging on the door. And that's because we have that. Kapusta can approach New York Power Authority and try to get some preference power, low cost power, and then blend it with solar, wherever the incremental power comes from. Natural gas, if it had to be. You blend that and you establish that rate. Obviously, we can't do it with 5 volunteers or 6 volunteers.
What is the time frame of you actually being established to do anything with us?
It's not my time frame; it's the county's time frame. The
So
county
I guess that
legislators.
once they're established, then it's a conversation again.
They'll never get us established until they get a funding source.
Right, we
That-
create a
one-
source of revenue.
One point I want to make that seems to get skipped over here is every agency, including this one, that operates within this county has gotten a hand up from the county. Every one of them. Water and sewer, soil and water, the IDA. And Kapusta is the only agency that has had funding clawed back because of political agenda. So, and we're still here, we're still fighting, and we're not fighting for our own benefit, we're fighting for the benefit of Cayuga County residents that deserve lower cost power and economic growth. Plain and simple, jobs and lower cost energy.
so Bob, are you asking us for money?
I didn't hear myself ask you for money.
Well,
Some support would be nice, get it
So
in the whole conversation.
John,
I,
tonight's it was just a presentation.
right, no, no, I'm just saying. I keep asking, what do you need from us? And. You know, I'm not hearing anything specific. I understand the power. I would love to, and it makes sense to me. If you can. Buy the power at 5 cents, which is 2 cents over what they're getting, a solar farm is getting. Selling it to NICEAG and then sell it even for 10 cents and it makes all the sense to me in the world. So my question is, why aren't we doing it? And I don't need anybody to answer that. It's just a rhetorical question. Why aren't we doing it? And why haven't we done it?
Somebody needs to.
The real question is, why are other communities doing it and Cayuga County isn't?
I agree with you.
Right.
Maybe that's a question for the legislators, I think, right?
Do we move on?
Yeah,
We need somebody sitting at the table with us when we do the pilots to have access to a percentage. Most of those pilots sell their power before the organization is set up. That's the business part of setting those up. If we have somebody like John at the table with us when we're starting one of those pilots, he can help us get access to a percentage of the power that unit is developing. Whether he transports it, he knows the system of doing it, and I don't know the system.
Well, we could offer more opportunity than I
It
think
makes
I
sense,
do.
but I guess I circle back to, I just feel like they need to get their funding so that when we are all sitting at that table, or Michael's sitting at that table and doing this, like, they have a system in place that they can manage it. Like right now, it's, you know, they just said they have no funding.
But we're working with a private developer, more than one, to establish a source of revenue eventually with us. So just to give you an idea.
okay, is there any other questions?
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, Jen. Okay, appreciate you coming.
Are we done?
Now we got two things.
Okay.
Andy, did you want to,
Well, I know, we just wanna wait and see what happens.
I think a January meeting, no matter what the legislature's done, we gotta have our people in place.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about? You guys are
Yeah.
talking.
Andy,
Governance.
Oh.
Who would know?
Yeah, because we decided we were gonna do it in January. The governance committee, you want it,
But I didn't realize the legislators don't meet until after our meeting in January. So then we're pushing into February.
Bob, will they have a special meeting after the organizational meeting?
Do we have one after? Did you ask if we could have one after?
I didn't ask for anything.
Don't
I
you
said,
usually-
will the legislature have, after you have your organizational meeting on whatever date?
January 2nd.
Are you going to have a special meeting before your regular meeting?
No.
Okay, thank you. That's your answer.
Yeah.
Is there a motion to go into executive session for contract negotiation?
But
All in favor? Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. John, thank you for coming.
Thank you, John.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
thank you.
And you're all set with the 20,000.
Yeah, I'll work with the attorneys and with Mike. We'll get it all done. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday.